Welcome to Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights, a podcast by coaches for coaches. Our guests share their hard-won wisdom to help you grow your coaching business and create a life of success. So get ready to unlock the blueprints to your success. Welcome, everyone, to our new episode. We are really excited. We have a special guest today. His name is Rod Theater, and his company is YBAngry. He is a relationship coach. I love the name of your business. It's fantastic. So welcome, Rob. We're happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
I am really excited to hear your journey into coaching. So what made you become a relationship coach? And like Jeanne said, I love the name of your business.
First, I want to say I'm really not a relationship coach. I don't get real deep into daddy issues and all that kind of stuff. All I really do is I coach couples on this game I created. I'm more like a referee, and I help couples. I'm more like a conflict coach. I help couples resolve disagreements in just minutes without fuss and drama. So that's more like what I am. But to tell you how I got started, about 19 years or so ago, I was fortunate enough to meet a really nice woman, and we got married. But after about being married for 10 years or so, I was unhappy, and so much that I wanted a divorce. Now, I think it had a lot to do with me going through some depression and stuff like that. But in the end, I wanted a divorce. So my wife agreed to go to marriage counseling. So we went to marriage counseling. Now, Jeanne and Kirsten, the first 4 weeks, we really got no help. They were just assessing us to see if we were suitable for marriage counseling. Because if she was beating on me, then she'd need her own individual counseling. Or if I were an alcoholic, I need my own individual counseling. On the 5th week, they said we were suitable, yeah, and we would get another 8 to 12 weeks of counseling. We got kicked out on that 5th week, and it was my fault. I was being stubborn. I didn't want to do this exercise that the therapist was asking us to do. A few days later, I was looking at my beautiful wife, and I said, Lord, if I'm going to stay in this relationship, I need to see some progress right now because I've been struggling for a little while. I sat down and started working on some stuff because I really wanted to help other couples not go through what I felt like my wife and I had experienced. So as I was doing this, I realized I didn't have any real issues, major issues with my wife. I hadn't called her lying or cheating or poisoning my food or anything like that. I realized that if we had been able to handle our disagreements as they occurred, I wouldn't be in the predicament I was in. So I worked on something to help couples resolve their disagreements. And what I come up with was couples coaching with instant results, because instead of doing the 5 weeks that we had done with no results, when people sit down or when I sit down with people, they're going to get some results right now. Most of the couples I've coached, the issues that they are resolving have been lasting for 10, 20, 30 years, sometimes 40, 50 years. On average, they're able to resolve them in less than 26 minutes. When I say instant results, that's what I mean. That's how this got going.
I think that's really cool because I think games or gamifying things is such a great strategy. I think about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, or Monopoly and all the lessons we've all learned through those games. I love that you created a game around it. Can you tell us a little bit about how the game works?
Yeah. So one of the benefits of the game, before I tell you how it works, is that it puts the couples in a different environment. It's not the kind of game where you can win by yourself. The relationship has to win or you both lose. So this means you're on the same team right now. He's not the problem. The issue is the problem. It's you and him against the issue. Or she's not the problem. It's you and her against the issue. And that has them working together. So no one's attacking. So no one needs to feel like they have to defend themselves. And that's where a lot of the success is lost when you're trying to resolve a disagreement, because you're each trying to get your points across and you're not really listening to the other person. You're just waiting for your chance to get in and say what you need to say. So the way the game works is, it's really simple to me. There's 3 ground rules, okay? 3 main ground rules. First, both people have to want the relationship to work. Remember, it's the kind of game you can't win by yourself. The relationship has to win or you both lose. And if you both don't want the relationship work, then you're not really encouraged to win, right? The second one is you have to be honest about whatever you agree to talk about. If you're going to go into any kind of counseling or coaching and you're not going to be honest or forthwith with information, then it's not going to be successful either. And the third one, Jeanne and Kirsten, is you have to be able to count to 14. Now, people laugh about that sometimes, but that's a struggle, right? You have to be able to count to 14. There are 4 numbers, steps on the cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14. And all you have to do is go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way to 14. And if you do that and you stay on track, they will win the game. They will resolve this issue. I've had some amazing, some crazy stuff that people have been able to resolve in just minutes. But the value that I bring, there's usually just 2 things I'm doing. One, I'm keeping them on track with the 14 steps. It's not real intuitive because it's not how they've been resolving their disagreements for the last 10, 20, or 30 years. What I do is I have to remind them, wait, we're just on step 4 right now. You're trying to do step 8. So I have to keep them on track. And the other thing I have to do is I have to keep them focused sometimes on what we're talking about. This is how the game works. The couple first have to agree on to resolve one issue today. So he's not going to be fussing at her about how the house inside of the house look while she's fussing at him about how the yard looks, if that's the role they play. Okay, they're going to agree to focus on one thing. Once they do that, they have to convert this issue, whatever it is, into a yes or no question. And the one I use most often is, should we buy a new car? Okay, now let's say she wants to buy a new car and he doesn't want to buy a new car. So she's going to write down all the reasons to support her yes position. We should buy a new car on cards, and it'll be one detail per card, just one. And then he'll write down all the reasons why we should not buy a new car. Because I find that if 2 reasonable people have the same details in their heads, they'll come up with the same reasonable conclusion if they're reasonably compatible. So let's say it's, should we buy a new car? And her reasons might be, this car is ugly. That might be one of them. Another one might be, the car is 40 years old. And another one might be, this car is broken down 3 times in the last 2 months. His no position might be supported by, my grandfather gave me this car. I can fix this car if it breaks, and we can't afford a new car. However many issues you have, however many details, that's how many cards you would use. You would write them all down, you would get them all out. And that's another reason why I think the game works so well, and the results are lasting, because people are able to get everything out. If we are arguing, as you can imagine, sometimes you might get shut down, or I might get shut down, because a lot of times one person is more articulate or dominant in the relationship. So anyway, what they're going to do now, they're going to take, each of them would take their issues here, we just had 3 each, and they'll rank them 1 to 10 on how important each of those issues are, with 10 being most important. The guy, my grandfather giving me this car, that might be a 9 for him, and then he may have a 7 or an 8. The lady, the car breaking down 3 times in the last 2 months, that might be a 10 for her, and then she may have a 6 and a 5. Now what they're going to do, they'll take both their details and they'll combine them, and they'll stack them in order of importance, with the most important ones being on top. And they'll take one of those details. So now we've taken this one issue that we've agreed to talk about and focus on, and we're drilling down more and just focusing on one detail of that issue. Because as you can imagine, if you are throwing your 5 or 6 things to me at the same time I'm throwing my 3 or 4 things to you, it's still chaos. So the most important thing was, this car is broken down 3 times in the last 2 months. So she has to take that and she'll tell him, this car is broken down 3 times in the last 2 months, and that's a 10 to me. Takes him through steps 1 through 3. Steps 4 and 5 are the most important steps in the game. Here, he has to repeat back to her what he believes she means in his own words. Ideally, he'll start with, and I usually insist that they start with, so what you're saying to me is. So he'll say, so what you're saying to me is, this car is broken down 3 times in the last 2 months, so you're embarrassed by that? Is that right? And she'll say, now, actually what this does is, it allows her to feel heard, and when he does respond to what she said later, he can respond to what she actually means, not something he thought she meant. So she'll say no, and then he'll say, so this car is broken down 3 times in the last 2 months, so you don't feel safe, is that right? She'll say yes. Now they can continue the conversation, and they're on the same page, right? The next step, he has to say whether this detail is or is not true. Now, you'd be surprised how many times that person will say, no, this detail is not true. So in this situation, the guy may say, it's not true. Now you might think that's pretty cut and clear. The car's broken down 3 times in the last 2 months. Next, he has to say how important this is to him, that his wife doesn't feel safe. He may say, that's a 10 to me. And of course, that helps validate her feelings because it was a 10 to her. So they're on the same page still. Now, the next important step, he has to write down a response to her. He can't just come back with a quick emotional response. He has to take the time to think and write it down. It slows the communication down, and it keeps him from saying something stupid or something you might consider stupid.
Right.
He may say, you said the car's broken down 3 times in the last 2 months, but and that's why we should buy a new car. But one time you ran over a nail and had a flat tire. That could happen with a new car too. I don't count that as 3 times, Anyway, now steps 9 and 10 are for her to do. And these are just like steps 4 and 5. She has to repeat back to him what she believes he means in her own words and ask, is that right? Once she does that, she has made her statement. He has responded to it, and they both understand their point on it. And now they have a focused discussion and debate with the understanding of what we're talking about right now. Because in my opinion, I think a lot of times the guy and girl, they'll be going back and forth and they're not even arguing about the same thing. She's really thinking about something else, and he's assuming she's thinking about this. But now when they have the conversation, they're focused. They both know what they're talking about. Right after that, step 12, he has to say, and I'm only saying he because it was her detail, so it would be he. They're well explained on the cards. It's really simple. But he has to say what he took from this interaction on this one card. And ideally, he'll start with, I feel better because now I understand why this car stresses you so much. Because I thought as long as I came and picked you up or fixed the car, everything was fine. I didn't realize, you felt safe because you didn't know if the car was going to crank when you left the grocery store and all this kind of stuff. Step 13, she'll say, I feel better because most of the time, a lot of the time, she's going to say, I feel heard. And feeling heard is a big part of resolving the issue, right? And then the last step, 14, is made up of 2 parts. One, they have to agree, was there any progress with this one detail card, one of the 6 for this issue? And most of the time they're going to say, yes, there was some progress. And the second part of that, was there enough progress to resolve this issue? And the vast majority of the times, they can have 13 cards. They'll say yes. Most of the time they resolve it on the first issue because they handle the most important part first. See, she could have come in the house and said, I'm sick of this car. It's ugly. And he said, I told you I'm going to get the car painted. It's old. My granddad gave me that car. I'm not selling that car. And then she storms off. And then she'll come back tomorrow. This car's broken down 3 times in the last 2 months. Now he's feeling nagged because he thought we resolved it yesterday. But since they handled the most important part first, all the other smaller issues don't really matter as much. So it just worked. It works, and it works every time. I've had several issues, ladies, where it's more so in the beginning. I would go sit with a couple and I'd say, hey, first step is we have to agree to settle one issue. And they'd say an issue and I'd say, oh, I don't know if we're going to be able to resolve that one. But they'd knock it right out. I did one where I like to talk about where this couple, they were engaged to get married really soon, and they had 4 kids. And their issue was, should we spank the kids? And it's okay, no big deal. I've done that before. But the guy said he grew up getting his tail whooped by his mom, and because he just grew up with a mom. And the girl, they never got spankings in her house. So I was like, uh-oh. But the real kicker was all 4 kids were hers. So I was like, oh, how's he gonna spank her kids? And I'm like, oh, but they knocked it right out. It just works out when you talk and you actually hear each other and understand what the other person is saying. It's easier to have empathy for how the other person feels when you're actually listening to them. But when you're busy trying to defend your position, the empathy part gets lost.
Yeah, it's so funny because when you said that the couples, the relationship, like they're together trying to save the relationship. Because when you first said this, I thought, oh my gosh, Hunger Games. Yeah. So I love the fact that they're on the same team and they're
them against the issue.
Yeah, the goal is to have the relationship win, not either of them.
I did one that I was really concerned about. I've done the mom and kid twice before, mom and son. This time I was concerned about it because the mom had a 27-year-old son, and they had been on the outs for 10 years. The son had the mom blocked on his phone. She couldn't even talk to him. She hadn't seen him for a couple of years. And Christmas, just this past Christmas, I guess through his brother's phone, he told her he wished she was dead. So I'm like, oh man. So I told her, I said, listen, he's got you blocked. And I don't even know if he's going to want to talk to me about you. But if he'll talk to me, I'll probably be able to get him to meet with us. But if he meets with us, I can probably get it worked out. Okay. But I was still a little anxious about it because I was concerned because it's in a romantic relationship, she's not always going to be your wife or your husband. That relationship can go bye-bye, but you're always going to be my mom, even if I'm not talking to you. So maybe there's not that much loss. So I was concerned about it, but we met and they resolved 5 issues that day. And he was really punching me in the chest because when we first sat down, he was calling her Tasha. He was calling her by her first name. And I was like, man, he's not even calling her mom. And I could tell that he was doing it on purpose. But halfway through the sessions, he started calling her mom again. And when it was over, like I said, they had resolved 5 issues and they parted ways with I love yous and hugs. Now I was talking to the exciting part for me was I was talking to her on the phone when she was on her drive back home. And because she had driven 4 hours, but she was saying, I was talking to her. She said, oh my God, oh my God. I said, what? She said, oh my God, he texted me. My son texted me. I said, what? So she said, he must have unblocked me. And I said, I don't know how that works. Text him back to see. He might be able to text you, but you not be able to text him. So text him back. And she said, oh my God, he texted me back. And I think he said, I love you, have a safe trip or something. We talked for 45 minutes, and every 10 minutes she would say, did I tell you my son text me? Did I tell you my son text me? She was just so excited about that.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's powerful. Yeah, that is really powerful. And to think that in that one session with you going through that process of the game, that they were able to resolve things. Did you find that there was just a lot of miscommunication in those issues? Is that what you normally find, that there's just misunderstanding around the issues?
I don't know if I want to say miscommunication, definitely misinterpretation. It always comes down to communication. I'm not doing acupuncture. I'm not making them walk on hot coals. We're just sitting down. What the game does, it provides a structure that allows them to communicate clearly, right? So they can hear each other and resolve their disagreements quickly. And that's it. They're just communicating more effectively. And that's all. So to me, it's always just about communication. A few weeks before that, this lady, she had messaged me and I said, let me just call her. And I've spoken to her a few times before. She's been bending my ear back for 2 years about her relationship with her husband. They've been together for 25 years. So she agreed to take my program. I went to see them and we resolved 9 issues in less than 12 hours that day. And that included them taking me to lunch and driving me around town, showing me the results of some Hurricane Iona that came through Florida there. But their first issue was, should he stop drinking so much? She said that had been an issue for 25 years. Okay. And the last one I remember was, should we split the bills 50-50? She said that had been an issue for 9 years because she's been carrying all the weight since 2000. So couples they're knocking out these really difficult issues in no time if they just know how to communicate to each other.
It's smart that you built in a structure where it slows down the conversation.
Yeah.
Nobody can react. That's really brilliant.
Yeah. How did you come up with the idea?
I just think I was blessed with it, really. I don't have I have a master's degree in software engineering, but obviously that doesn't benefit me here. I don't have any formal therapy or psychological training. I just think when I say, God, if I'm going to stay in this relationship, I need to see some progress right now. And I sat down to work on something. He just helped me out. Because I don't think I could have come up with something that works every time. Every time.
Wow, that's so amazing.
I love the fact that you have the person who has the issue, like both people have to read it out loud and say, right. So what I understand is, I think that's really important.
I live in Spartanburg, South Carolina, where I grew up at, where my parents are, and I didn't have anything to do. And I was looking at my parents, and I had avoided them playing the game. I know they can't win the game. I've been watching them all my life, and I'm not going to let them mess up my record. But I said, I've been wanting to do some research to see how Is there an age limit for this? Or are there certain issues that it won't work for? So I said, you know what? This can be just research. I'll play them and I don't have to count it as a loss because it's just research. So parents are playing and they do this 57-year issue, which is, should my mom have a TV in every room, right? And they play the game, they settle the game, and at the end, I always ask, why after so many years were you able to resolve this in just a few minutes? My mom says, we talked about it. I said, what do you mean you talked about it? Haven't you talked about it before? My mom says, no, we just argue about it. And I didn't think about it too much. 8 months later, it dawned on me that of all the couples I had recorded, no one, not one person had written profanity on their cards or an exclamation mark. So there's no yelling or there's no cursing when they play the game. It like totally removes the negative emotions from the conversation and the discussion. And that's what some of the people have told me. It seems like it just removed the negative emotions from it. So you're able to just sit down there and have a good conversation with your partner. And we're just a lot less resourceful when we're angry and upset.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So this is amazing. I just think what you've done is so awesome. And before, if you were to give everyone one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice to be? Something that would make the world a better place.
So I want to say two things. One, you don't know your spouse or your partner as well as you think you do. You just don't, because of how communication works. Even if though it's been 20 years, over time you have interpreted things the way your partner didn't mean for them to be interpreted. So that's the one thing. And the second thing is that it all boils down to communication, just communication, because all these people that have resolved their issues, all they have done is talk. That's it. But they were able to talk in a way that the other person can understand. The couple that helped resolve 9 issues in that one day, after they resolved the 4th issue, the lady goes, I don't get it. She gets a little frustrated. I don't get it. I'm not saying anything that I haven't said 100 times already. I said, what do you mean? I haven't said anything that I haven't said 100 times already. I said, April, you have to realize if you're telling him something 100th time, you're probably not saying it with the same attitude and tone that you did when you told him the first or second time. He's probably hearing or feeling that, and his defenses are just going up. Or if you're telling him something for the 25th time, even though he might need to be told again because he haven't fixed it, he might feel nagged. So his defenses are going up. So he's not hearing you. Just somehow when people sit down and play the game, they actually are able to hear each other. That's it.
Now, do you have to be in person with people to play the game, or can you do it remotely?
I can do it remotely. I can do it remotely. I just need the couple to be together. Don't want to do one couple over here and one couple somewhere else, because I want them to see each other and see their effect and hear and all this kind of stuff. I think that needs to stay the same.
But I do know that you travel coast to coast, and you make time to see people in person. I think that's such a beautiful thing.
I really enjoy it. I was in Philadelphia last Thanksgiving, if I can ramble a minute, really. And this couple, and I was going to do this guy invited me to his podcast, and he was skeptical about whether this actually works or not. And I said, hey, man, invite somebody on your show. Invite a couple on your show. We'll demonstrate it right there on the show. And this happened to be a time where I like, I don't know if they're going to be able to resolve this, all right? And I'm like, no, it's on. So he invites this couple on, and hey, the first thing you guys have to do is agree on one issue to settle. And the lady says, should your mom live with us? I'm like, oh my goodness. And I'm like, and my mom's homeless. And I'm like, oh man, he's got to choose between his mom and his wife right now. But they knocked it right out. It works every time.
What do they decide on?
I don't even remember. You know what? The reason why I don't remember, because I don't care. I never have a dog in the fight. It doesn't matter to me what they're talking about. I don't counsel them on why you're thinking that and all this kind of stuff. I just make sure they play the game. So this all I'm doing is make the issues, they have that between themselves, right? Yeah. And that's what separates me from other counselors too. I'm not, you don't have to feel ganged up if you come to me, because nobody can say that. I'm on nobody's side. I'm just a referee making sure you're supposed to be on step 4 right now. And wait, are you guys still talking about the same thing? Those are the things I say most, because sometimes people want to go back to somewhere else, even though the game doesn't really allow that. And I'd say, hey, are you guys still talking about the same thing? Oh, I guess not. And then they'll get back on track.
Wow. Wow. This has been amazing, Rob. If people want to reach out to you and have you facilitate their game, how can they reach you?
I would love to do that. They go to YBAngry.com. 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 If you go there, I encourage your listeners to click on the link to get 3 free tips. How to resolve disagreements without arguing. They'll give me their email and I will shoot them a short video of 3 free tips how to resolve disagreements without arguing. Also, down at the bottom, there's a ton of links for couples. You can see couples playing the video to settle certain different games. The most common one is, should she initiate sex more often? There's a little bit of everything. Should he buy her Harley? Should she clean the bathroom? All these things. And whatever. And you'll be surprised, like the should she initiate sex more often? A lot of times, the ladies are saying the same things. All the ladies in the different videos are saying the same things that the guys are. So if that's an issue for you, just watch that video and you can have an idea what your partner is thinking. We're not that different, the ladies and the guys.
Wow.
But yeah, and they can watch my TED Talk there, which I'm really happy about. I'm working on the phone app right now where hopefully I'll be able to help more people. So hopefully it'll be out in a month or two.
They'll be able to probably download that from your website or
from Apple and Google Play Store.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today, Rod. This has been amazing. We haven't had anyone on who talked about anything like this, and I just think it's fantastic and grateful for people like you who are out helping couples resolve their differences.
Enjoy it. I love it, and I get a lot of joy from it.
Yeah.
The couple actually helped yesterday. They were, 2 days ago in Plano, Texas. He was out. He told him, I'm leaving. They've been married for 23 years and they have 3 kids still in the house, but he's done and he's leaving. And then I said, one of my main rules is that both of you guys have to want to be in a relationship, but I'm willing to try because maybe he'll realize that they had some misunderstandings because he said he still loved her and everything. And sure enough, so when we sat down, and I had him write down all the issues that he has with her, and I had her write down all the issues that she had with him, and we're going to play them one at a time. And we only got through 3 of them. But when I asked him in the beginning, I said, hey, if we're able to resolve all those issues you have with her, are you willing to stay? He said, no. But we went ahead and played anyway. And after we played, I said, how are you feeling now? You going to give it a try? He said, I'm going to try. She bought her family some more time. And so hopefully things will turn around for them. They were resolving some issues. Should you continue to see other women, other people? That was one of their things. And yeah, you'd be surprised at things that I have helped couples resolve. They resolve that issue. Should you continue to see other people? See, that's why I can't have a dog in the fight. I just want to help you two. What makes you happy, what works for you. So
thank you. We are going to put your information in the show, and we're just so grateful you were here with us today.
thank you.
Thank you, Rod.
All right, Kirsten and Jeanne.
Thanks for joining us today on Blueprints for Brilliance Coaching Insights. We hope you're leaving this episode with inspiration to take your coaching business and your life to the next level. If you found value in this episode, we would love it if you would subscribe and share it with someone else who you think might benefit from hearing it. Thanks, and we'll see you in the next episode.